Okay, well, I think we'll make a start now. And I'm Brian McNamee on behalf of the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland. And this is the latest webinar in the Reduce Your Use series from Greyhound Racing Ireland, called Powering Change, basically, is what we're talking about. And the webinar will be recorded, and the recording will be made available afterwards on Energy Link. You will be muted with your cameras off at the moment. If you have anything urgent to say, let us know. And if you have any specific questions, please put those in the chat. So questions in the chat, please. So we're delighted to have Liz Cribbin here this afternoon, who's the projects manager with Greyhound Racing Ireland, and she's the driver behind their energy, climate action and sustainability strategy. Greyhound Racing Ireland is committed to addressing energy efficiency and climate action and sustainability, and they are acutely aware that this requires a change in the mindset and the culture within the organisation. So I'll hand you over to Liz now, and she's going to let us know some of the things they've done in that area, focusing on reduce your use. Over to you, Liz.
Thanks, Brian. So this is just a recap of what we did last year, 2023 to 2024. I suppose the baseline was October to December 2019, and then January through March 2023 versus October to December 23 and January to March 24. So that were our comparisons. And in order to roll this out and involve the whole of the industry, we had to say why it matters, what are we measuring, who wanted to be on the team, what training we were going to do. We did a staff suggestion scheme, some light and heat reduction strategies, how we communicated it, and our performance indicators and next steps. So says who, I mean, why do we have to do this? And it all goes back to Greyhound Racing Ireland is a commercial semi-state body, and we adopted the 5 commitments of the New Era Climate Action Plan in 2023. So that goes hand in hand with the SEAI and our monitoring and reporting. So the overall picture was it's a European part of the European Green Deal. We report to the SEAI, we report to New Era, they report to the Department of Public Expenditure and Reform, who report to the Department of Environment, Climate and Communications. So the reduce your use is just one part of this, but it's an essential part. So we had to explain to all our stakeholders, this is why we want to do this. And the Climate Action Framework has 5 commitments. So Commitment 2 is where our big focus was on emissions measurement and reduction targets, and the Reduce Your Use campaign fitted perfectly into this. So as I say, we're a commercial semi-state body. There's 26 bodies that adopted the Climate Action Framework. You've Bord na Móna, Boséireann, Coillte, ESB, An Post, RTE. So we're just one of many. So commitment to emissions measurement and reduction. So as part of the New Era Climate Action Framework, we have the SEAI MNR reporting in place. We've adopted our 2030 targets. We modelled our emissions pathway. And a big part of that was reducing our use, our changing behaviour, culture, attitude. And then what could we do to actually, physically reduce? And then processes in place to monitor our progress and to reach our targets. And I report to the board of RCE on a quarterly basis regarding our progress towards these commitments. So our energy efficiency targets, 50% increase in energy efficiency. So that's as per New Era. So this is where the Reduce Your Use campaign fed into. We could see back in 2022, so this was our energy efficiency, and we had in 2021, and no thanks to COVID, our energy efficiency was at 61%, but it started reducing as the lights went back on and everything started up again. We could see that we were not efficient as we were, and we are going in the wrong direction. So roll on, reduce your use. So we got our team in place. So we have an energy performance officer, is also the procurement officer. And, you know, I'm sure, just like many other organizations, this isn't anyone's one job. This is just a part of everybody's job. So we got the Munster racing manager and the Leinster racing manager. They communicate with all our ground staff on the floor. We have our marketing, our PR, our media. We have a head of mechanical and electrical. And we have our events and hospitality services, because we operate the catering on an in-house basis. And then myself to kind of coordinate the project together. So that was our team. So we kind of went out to the organization, and we were fortunate to have full commitment from the GRI executive and our new CEO who came on board, Tim Lucy from Cork County Council. So he had experience in this and was all for it. And really, at the end of the day, you know, the big selling point was the amount of money we were spending on utilities like waste, water, energy. It's you know, it can be in and around 65,000 euros a month. So then they say, oh, right, actually, this is important. So we just did a little bit of just thinking to people. We weren't asking them for blood. It was a mindfulness challenge, you know, just ensure the heating is off outside operating hours, you know, last person off, turn off the lights. We agreed an internal space heating temp to 19 degrees, shut off heating in offices 2 hours before building closed, shut down computers, and be mindful of the energy that you're using. We did a training and education plan. So we used the sessions from the SEI Energy Academy website, energy and climate change, behavioral change, and then the home energy challenge, because obviously what you do in work is beneficial at home as well. We created a new starter induction pack on training. So each new employee had to complete the three sessions, and then that was rolled out to our existing employees as well. And people did get interested because they thought, actually, yeah, I need to reduce my own bill at home. Training and education. So we certificate of completion for the energy basics, or reduce your use team to the energy basics. I did the energy leaders program with 2050 and SkillNet Climate Ready, and the energy performance offer myself to the energy map fundamentals. So there's a huge amount of training out there to increase awareness. We came along and we did our launch. We used, you know, our people on the ground, our ground staff, our chefs, our kitchen, our hospitality people. We said, look, we want to aim for 15% reduction in energy use. We shared it across our social media platforms. It went up on our website where all of the Greyhound related results and everything are. There was an email sent out from our CEO. The minutes were shared with our heads of departments. And there was even a mural erected as part of the whole strategy. There was a blank wall, and we just wanted to say that sustainability is important to us. The number one thing in Greyhound Racing Ireland's lives is the welfare of the dogs. That is the most important thing to anyone. Nothing else matters after that. And the Greyhound, you know, in order to survive, needs clean water, clean air, clean facilities. It needs, in order to race, it needs stadia that are sustainable, that will be around in another 100 years. So this is all part of our story. So the quarterly progress reports goes to the board. We've the CEO really behind it. We've highlighted our strategic plan. It was highlighted at our strategic plan workshop. Our GRI website, our database, and it's also up on our intranet internally. We did an awareness campaign. So we put our little boxes out in the tracks. We have 9 owned and operated stadia in Ireland. So we put it down in 3 different areas in our tracks. We put it in our racing offices, in our hospitality back of house, and our racing back of house. And we asked for some ideas, suggestions on how you could reduce the use, and you get a €50 voucher for the best idea. And this was really to create awareness, and it worked quite well because it became a talking point. You know, either it was people throwing their eyes up to heaven and saying, oh, they're so busy up in head office, what are they doing now? And then it was like, actually, we spend how much? And right, okay, we really need to reduce this. So motion sensors, none of this is rocket science. Motion sensors on lights and toilets, public areas, using daylight, you know, the natural instinct to turn the light switch on when you go into the office in the morning, repairing faulty external doors. Our stadia on the ground floor are large open spaces to minimize drafts, repair the doors. Switching off, powering down our tote machines, not leaving everything on standby. Photocopiers, Berco boilers, coffee machines, energy saving modes, and timers for fridges. Some of our stadia only operate once a week, so the fridges can maintain a level of coldness because the doors aren't open and shut, so we put in some 7-day timers. When the SEAI M&R 2030 system came out, we were able to see our energy efficiency target you know, in color again. So you can see that we are below our baseline. So our efforts have brought us back down again, and we will reach our target. I think we're just at our target, but we have to maintain it for the next 7 years. And I think that's where our greatest challenge will be, because it's fine, you know, it's fine to lose the weight, it's keeping it off that's the hard part. So we established our baseline. So we took our figures, we went through our units, our cost from September to November, actually that's October to November, December 2019, and January to March 2023. So we saw exactly what we were using. We did our energy map on the electricity. So 75% of our energy consumption is electricity, 19% is gas, and then you have transport fuels. So 45% is, say, our catering, 20% is our space heating and cooling, 20% building admin, and 15% is track lighting. So external Greyhound Racing track lighting and car park lighting. So that's an approximate based on our tracks. So what did we do? We had our awareness campaign. There was an audit. We did an audit back in 2021 in association with SEAI, with our relationship manager. And it was excellent, but the audit was done and it was left. And as sometimes this happens, it goes into a drawer and never comes out. So we pulled the audit out again and we said, what did Ger say and what can we do? So sat down with each of the stadium managers and said, what are the easy wins here? We made them do the training, encouraged, not made, encouraged. Energy Academy training for people on the Reduce Your Use team, Energy Basics, the Energy Map SkillNet. We reviewed our electrical base loads at Stadia, and we don't have, you know, our Stadias are 15, 20 years old. Some of the Stadias, in Cork, for example, didn't have a BMS. So in order to review the base loads, it was a case of I went to Cork with an electrician and we shut down the whole electrical load and brought up each section trip switch at a time to try and figure out, right, so this, you know, I mapped it out within the stadium. This is associated with this. So, right, the cold room is on this switch. Put it down, turn it back up. What's its use? And we were really able to see why the base load was high, could we do to reduce it, and it gave the staff in the stadium a better overview of what was on at what times. Reducing internal space heating temps, yes, there was people who said it was freezing, oh my goodness, they couldn't work, put on a jumper. Reduce the times the HVAC is operational. So in some places it would have been maybe standard, come in the door, you're on for Saturday night, flick on the heat there at 3 o'clock. No one thought, does the heat need to be turned on? Is that efficient? So it was just, okay, so just challenge the historical practices. We included energy management as part of our internal audit process. So when I was doing my internal audits at the track, we reviewed what their electricity use was, their energy, their kerosene or LPG or gas, whatever heating they were using, and different metrics. And then we were able to show a league table of the tracks. We reported on energy use metrics for major classics. So we picked the Conor Kirby 2024 in March this year, and we did a sustainable survey on that, how much we reduced our electricity use, our waste, and different elements, and that was presented to the board. And we're replacing our lights, and we have no choice, as everyone knows. The CFLs and everything are gone. We have to change over to LED, but reducing the quantities of lights in certain areas with LEDs. capital expenditure, we don't have, there is no money. There's never any money. So CapEx, I was like, right, well, we need to do retrofit for LEDs in the stadia. How are we going to do it? You know, it was estimated at 340,000 euros to change out cork. We don't have that money, so we're looking at the light as a service process where a company comes in, they pay the CapEx, you pay them over 5 years then. And so we're just at the tender stage there for our Cork Stadium. We tendered for and gained approval for solar photovoltaics in Limerick Greyhound Stadium. Again, we did this as a paid partnership with Astatine. So they pay the capital, they put the panels on the roof, and then we pay them a reduced rate for the electricity. Then we got approval to put in a VRF heat pump at Shelburne Park, which, you know, you have to fight for these things. So that went in at a quite a large cost. And then the changeover of our fleet from diesel to electric vehicle, a lot of the execs are done, and we're now looking at our welfare vans on the road. And collecting collecting the data and analysing the data, we don't have smart meters in 4 tracks. We only have them in 4. So in order to collect the data, it's literally finding out your meter numbers, you know, and your MPRNs, and getting someone on the ground to go in, to check the meters, to take the photos, to send them to me, to upload, to try and record the data. But ESB have come back and they said, look, it's going to be phase 3 before some of those stadia. So that's the end of 2026 or 7 before they get a smart meter. So there is a lot of work involved. Then we did our comparison to where we were in October to March. So Shelburne reduced by 15%, Curraheen by 18%, Limerick stayed the same. The Kingdom went down by 16%, Galway went down by 21%, Waterford went up by 7%, Mullingar came down by 49%. So we analysed it, why, and you know, there was things beyond our control. There was changes to the racing schedule that was a positive and both a negative. So basically our 6-month reduce your use, we averaged 17%. So our target was 15. We came in an cumulative 17% average. You can see the tracks there. Limerick, Waterford, Newbridge are the ones that didn't make much gains. Limerick went up, and some other initiatives we did. So it's not just about our energy consumption. We have our biodiversity. So we're managing our green spaces for biodiversity and incorporating native woodland planting. We're cycling our race cards, encouraging people to recycle our race cards. We have a waste segregation system where we're creating awareness about splitting your waste, general recycling, organic. We have our returns. So our bottles are going into return bins with all the funds going towards the Irish Retired Greyhound Trust. That's being piloted at Galway Greyhound Stadium. And then we're encouraging our owners and trainers to scoop the poop. And so the next steps really are we'll be rolling out our Reduce Your Use 24-25 campaign. We have our first meeting in next week, because it's taken quite a long time to collect the data of month 1, which would be October. We have people that are genuinely interested in this. So we're going to complete the tender for the lighting as a service at Curraheen Park, expand the solar PPA to 1 other stadium, continue our changeover of fleet to EV, especially our welfare vans. We have to do a deep analysis of the electricity usage at 2 of their Greyhound Stadium, which aren't showing, they're not coming down like the others are, but at least now we know and we can compare and we can say, there's the problem. We know where the problem is. We need to continue the momentum and set smart goals for 24-25. Maybe I'm a bit conservative. I feel that, you know, we did catch a lot of the low-hanging fruit, and if we did a 5% energy reduction across all sites, I think that we will be happy enough with that. So thank you for listening, and that's us.
Thanks very much, Liz. A very impressive approach there, really, to energy management and then getting people on board as well. I mean, a lot of people might think that, what does Greyhound Racing have to do with my organization? But I think you touch on a lot of the different services that might be used in different bodies, organizations, transport, catering, offices, outdoor lighting. So a lot of these things are relevant to most organizations right throughout the country, even in the public sector. So thanks very much for that. There's one question there at the moment. Did you find IT represented a significant percentage of overall consumption for servers, hub rooms, or comms, etc.? And very good presentation they mentioned as well. So
yeah, so we did actually. So our head office is located at Limerick Greyhound Stadium, and we really broke down head office because it had such a higher use per meter squared floor area than the other tracks, and that is where our lab is and our comms room is. So I don't have the exact percentages, but I would estimate based on their usage over of the floor area at the other tracks, it must be 50%. It was very significant. Now the lab is there as well. There's an awful lot of equipment in the lab. So between the lab and the comms in head office, yeah, it was very big.
Right, okay. So you've even got labs as well.
Yeah, because we test, all the testing is done at head office because
All
all
right.
the greyhounds, a lot of the greyhounds testing, which is a huge part of our welfare, that it's strict regulations. So
Right.
the testing is done on site in head office, yeah.
I see, right. Okay, another question here. How did you implement the 3-bin system? Was it easy enough or was it slow to implement?
I don't know if anything is easy to implement. It was time consuming. So first of all, we had to research, what is available and then look at the costs. Some of the costs were astronomical. Actually, I nearly fell over. I was like, how could a bin be so expensive? So we looked at it all, kind of came up with a plan and said, right, this is the most cost efficient bins to put in place. Then our supplier was Panda. So they do our waste. So they had a training guy. So he came out and we did a training video for YouTube to go through all the, say, disposable containers in our fast food, all of the bottles, cans, tin foil, anything that may be used in the kennels outside the track. And he showed in the video where each item needs to be disposed of, composting. And I learned so much that you think, like I didn't know that blue paper towel and all the kitchen paper can all go into compostable, what contaminates the recycling bin. So that video was good. Then we did information posters. Then it was part of my internal audit. So when I went around, I was routing in their bins. People see me coming and they run in the other direction but people then are kind of actually, do you know what? Yeah. And my son's been telling me, or my daughter's been telling me that for the last 6 months, I need to recycle. So for the greater good, it's still ongoing and it's a constant. You have to keep on top of it. It wasn't easy, but it's great to see it now. And it's great to see the recycling rates going up. And it's also great on the bottom line because the lift of the general waste charges is more expensive than recycling. So it has reduced the cost of the waste.
Right. Okay, very good. So it really is a never-ending journey, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Just one question from myself here. Has there been any spin-off impact in relation to the public, the race going public, or did they,
Yeah, actually, I don't know, sometimes you can have a perception, do they care? Do people care? And there's been a lot of positive feedback. They're saying this is great. And we're putting, ads in the race card about how to segregate your waste. And people are actually spending a minute and then they're making an effort to do it. They're happy that they can see that we're trying to reduce the cost because they want stadia to stay open. They want the prize money to go towards the greyhounds. They want that part of the operations to keep going. And when we say, look, this is what we're doing to reduce the cost of operating the stadia, to ensure that the prize money is there for the owners and trainers to race their dogs, then they think, oh yeah, this makes sense. Great. And even when we did the planting, so we planted three or 400 Irish native trees in Limerick. And we had a lot of volunteers come in from Owners and Breeders Association that were interested and said, yeah, we'd like to help. We want to do something. So I think when you start, you might feel, I felt a bit, oh, will they care? Is this going to matter? But there was very positive feedback, I have to say.
And just on that point on the panda video, did you have to pay for that, or did they do
No,
it
he
for
came
free?
out, in fairness, he came out free of charge. It's on YouTube. And
All right.
he came down for the day, and I had the bins in place, and we paid for the cameraman, obviously.
Right,
And
right.
we went through every disposable item that was on site just to show this is how we're going to do. And then we sent that out
Yeah.
internally to all our tracks because obviously there's a huge cost and logistics nightmare of getting everybody together in one place. So we found this was a really beneficial way of doing it.
I see. Very good. Yeah, and just one final question, really, from ourselves. How did the staff respond to the temperature settings? Was there any complaints on that front at all?
Yeah, there was. There was.
Put on a jumper.
Yeah, get over it. We have to do what we have to do now and
Yeah,
put on a jumper. And if there was days when it was really cold, I'm sure it was knocked up to 21, but people were aware we need to get this back down again. It's being
yeah.
monitored. So yeah. Look, it's challenging. People do get used to it. It's time and it's consistency and keeping the momentum going, and that's where we're going to find a challenge this year, I think.
Okay. Yeah, it's a difficult process, really, but yeah, we have to keep up the effort. And I think we're probably going to be cut off on the recording very shortly, so I think we'll end it at that. And thanks very much, Liz, for coming along today. An excellent presentation, and we'll make that available on Energy Link, the video and the slides, over the next coming days. And we'll be in touch again.
Thank
Thanks
you.
very
Thank
much.